Welcome guys. Okay, in this video we're going to be doing a coolant change on my dad's Dodge Challenger. It's a 2010 Challenger, the 3.5 V6. So, first things first, got the car jacked up on this side. Always use jack stands. I'm not going to because I'm lazy, so do as I say, not as I do. And then we do have this wheel chalked for extra safety. The brick in front, brake rotor in the back. Now, you'll recall when I changed the alternator in this, I had to pull that coolant hose off, so we lost a shitload of coolant, and I did replace it. So, it's already, half the coolant has already been changed a couple months ago. So, in this video, all we're going to do is just a quick drain and fill. We're not going to bother doing what I did with my Camaro, where we cycle it all out until it's all water, drain it again, and then mix it, boom, done. So, after we've already jacked the car up and we got the hood up, I want to go ahead and test the coolant mixture. So let's get some in the tube, and depending on how many balls we have floating is how good we are protected for. There we go. Okay, so the amount of balls you have lets you know how much temperature you're protected against. 5 balls is -40. You can see all 5 balls are in fact floating, so we're good. Once we take it out, we can do a 50-50 mix. Probably even go slightly more water if we wanted to, because we have at least a 50-50 mixture at the moment. Now, my dad said that he thought he was losing coolant, and it does look a wee bit on the low side. It is cold out, though. He says that he thinks that it's been going down, and he occasionally smells coolant. So he thought there might be a leak, but I did pressure test it the other day with my Harbor Freight cooling system pressure tester, which you just put on here, pump it up to pressure. So I believe this thing can take 17 or 18 psi max. That's what the coolant pressure is, max pressure. Actually, it should be on the cap. Yeah, here it is, 18. So I remember I pumped it up to about 17, somewhere between 16.5 and 17.5 psi. I held it on there for like 30 or 40 minutes, and the pressure never dropped, and there was no obvious leak. So I don't think it actually leaks. If anything, maybe his cap is going bad. That'd be about the only thing. There's no leaks anywhere else in the coolant system. So I'm going to go ahead and drain and fill, and we'll get under the car and I'll show you where the Petcock is. It is under the passenger side, front passenger side, which I believe the same location as my Vet is, and my Camaro's the rear driver's, or the front driver's side, I believe, on that car. It's in the opposite of this car and that car. So, alright, let's go underneath. Alright, now it's kind of cramped under here since I don't have the car up that high, but there's the Petcock. That's where it's going to drain from. We have our collection tub over yonder. So we just need to loosen the Petcock, put this tub under here, and then it will drain. And this one's actually loose enough you can turn it by hand. Alright, so we got to loosen this just enough. We're starting to drip a little. I'm going to try to do this without getting it on my sleeve, but I don't know if I'll be able to. Alright, if I lean further back, we can do that. Alright, so we'll just let it slowly drain from here. And just like when you change your oil, you do want it to go faster. Do what I did and take the radiator cap off. That way air can come in here and replace the coolant that is going into there. So we'll let that drain, and then we'll be back whenever it comes time to open up the bleeder valve, pour our coolant in, start the engine, and get her done. Alright, that's the fruit of our labor. And we've got the Petcock back locked into place. If you'll recall, it was in the horizontal position before. It is back in the horizontal position. It locks into place. I was able to get it back into place with just my fingers. So loosening it, you may need the massive channel locks, but to put it back in, you can just use your own hands. So, okay. Sorry, my hand's in the way. Oh, hard to get out of that thing. Alright, so we got however much of that is, and then again, I'm not actually going to circulate the coolant and do any of that nonsense. We're just going to drain and fill, since we've already replaced half the coolant before when it all fell out doing the antifreeze, or the alternator job. Okay, so we're set up here to add our coolant and our distilled water. 50-50 mix. I haven't actually pre-mixed this in a separate container or anything, so what we'll do is pour about 1/4 of this down in here, and then we'll pour about 1/4 of the gallon of the coolant, and we'll just do that until this gets fairly full. And this is some universal coolant from O'Reilly's that he bought. So it's for all makes, models, and colors. Now the original stuff was in there was kind of like a reddish color, orangish. I would have stuck with the same color myself, but you know, whatever, it's not my car. Who am I to judge? Also, I don't use the BMW blue coolant in my BMW. That's got green coolant in it, so, you know, I guess I'm kind of a hypocrite. Alright, so you can see the line. You know, it's more difficult to see than it was when the coolant was a reddish color. So we're just at the line. I'm guessing that's what that chalk mark is. I mean, it says cold full max is kind of down here on this side. So we're a little fuller than that, but we are going to have to start the car and let the water pump do its thing to make sure that's all kosher. So we'll go ahead and start her up. And normally I would just do that bleeder screw deal over there, but since this side of the car is jacked up, I moved the jack over here now. So this side is up higher. This is the highest point of the coolant system. We should be able to evacuate any air bubbles clean out through the expansion tank. Now we got the water pump circulating. We'll see if the coolant level drops any at all. That's how much coolant we have left between this and that. So about a half a gallon left. So a complete drain and refill gives you 6 quarts, I reckon. I'd say that's pretty close to a half gallon. So you'll use roughly 6 quarts. So a gallon of that. Gallon of water, it's 8 quarts. You'll have 2 left over. You can save for a rainy day. Had the engine running for a little bit now, so the coolant's starting to warm up a little, so it's starting to expand. And then once it gets up to this point, it'll go into this separate expansion tank over here. But 64 degrees there, 102 there, 65 there. It's a pretty cold day out. Can't really get to the lower radiator hose, but maybe I can from underneath. See what the temperature is on that dude. And we can kind of see it. 57, so this is still cold, the same temperature that it is outside. Only barely going up any. Engine's only been idling for a little bit. Copyright strike! Copyright strike! Not quite a quarter of the way there, but I mean, that's it. That's all you really have to do. I'll cut the video here. Just drain, fill, and that's it. let it run until it expands, goes into the extra reservoir and circulates, and once you're good to go, you're good to go. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.